Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's a stupidly expensive adult purchase that you now swear by that you would buy again in a heartbeat? Professional movers. Greatest luxury item I've ever spent money on. Yup. We box our stuff and rent a truck, but pay people to load, unload and move the stuff that's too big or heavy for boxes. I moved for work a few times and the company would come to my house and pack everything up. They would individually wrap every plate and cup. It was crazy. As a woman, decent brass. The outlay is painful up front, but the whole point is, nothing afterwards is. No digging in. No weird cup spills. No loosening throughout the day until it's pointless. No exposed wires after a week. No torn hooks after a couple of washes. Buy a good bra. You deserve it. Your girls deserve it. Your back deserves it. Knowing your actual size is worth its weight in gold. Yeah, and it's wild how off you could be. I thought I was a 32B my whole adult and a proper fitting had me at 32DD. Wild. A good bed. 20 years ago, I had a friend with a 3K bed. House sat for him. Holy fucking fuck that fucking bed. Felt like I was being cradled by God. What a strangely descriptive way to answer. Rolling on the floor laughing. This right here. My husband would always go down to the local furniture store and pick a new mattress. They only carry regular coil spring pillow top mattresses. I'm disabled with bad joints and have spent years unable to get decent sleep because I would lay down and it would hurt and the pain would just build until I changed positions, then the cycle would start over. Any bit of pressure would just feel like a hot knife through my hips and knees. Last month I finally convinced him to spend a few grand on a Tempur-Pedic Adapt mattress. He was very apprehensive about it and thought it was just a gimmick. The first night I literally bawled because I was able to lay down without being in pain. I hadn't been able to do that in almost 20 years. My husband slept so hard he woke up at 11 p.m. and thought it was already morning and was confused when he checked his clock. I admit it was pretty expensive, but I will absolutely be doing it again when it's time to replace this mattress. I'm so sorry you had to wait 2 whole decades for it. I always tell anyone who will listen exactly this. We spend a third of our lives in bed, get a good one. Same with shoes, we spend a third of our lives on our feet. Everything between you and the earth, gravity is quite strong. Don't buy cheap tires either. Monthly cleaning service. Best non-required use of my money to date. Yard service for me. Instead of a couple sweaty hours followed by a couple days of bad allergies, I now send a couple texts, transfer some money, and it's done. I don't have a house with a yard anymore, but I used to. In 2004 someone stole my lawnmower and my edger. Whoever that was, thank you. I didn't replace it, instead paid someone to mow the lawn for the next decade that I lived there. Life-changing. The smart toilet with built-in bidet, blow dryer, and seat warmer. It's incredible. This is something I've debated for years but never pulled the trigger on it. The idea of using a bidet is so foreign to me, but everyone who has one swears by them. You can get a bidet attachment on Amazon if you want to test it out with lower commitment. I love mine, and it was about $40. You get used to it very quickly and then you wonder how you ever lived your life without one. The vet bill for my rescue cat's teeth removal. $5,000 all told. Ended the agony of stomatitis and saved his life. That was about 7 years ago and he's sitting on my lap right now. Smiling face with hearts. Similar, $6,000 for the MRI and treatment of the deep and bad inner ear infection on my furry boy. 8 years later he is healthy, happy, and warming my lap while I type this. Edit, typo, $750 for anti-venom in 2007. She finally passed in 2019. I was a teenager when I foot that bill, it was everything I'd saved. Never regretted it for a second. Central air. No pleasure, no rapture, no exquisite sin greater than central air. A dogma reference in the wild. I think that is a sign that it's time for a rewatch. My electric company sent out an email talking about keep it at 78 degrees to 80 degrees when you're home and 10 degrees higher when you're not to save money. I'll get a second job before I sleep with the AC at 78 degrees GTFO. In Las Vegas 2 LMAO. Out of their minds. Love that. In NYC our utility company will send out emails like, please be conscious of your electricity usage, we are expecting a high energy day next week. Yeah, I bet all those empty office buildings are going to be frigid. Is Times Square still gonna be lit up? Fuck off. An expensive pillow. Get one that's more firm and will support your neck and head much better than the cheapest one you can find. Waking up without a stiff neck or with a slight pain is so much better than feeling uncomfortable first thing in the morning. Edit to add, I don't really have a brand recommendation. I bought a memory foam pillow years ago and it's been great, but I don't know who makes it. There are other suggestions in the comments for specific pillows. Ironically, I bought my expensive pillows from IKEA. They were like $70 a piece, maybe more. They are worth every goddamn penny. I purchased a used Volkswagen that was only a few years old, so I still consider it expensive. I used to drive $5,000 clunkers that constantly broke down. Having a reliable car that doesn't break down in -40 is life-changing. The first car my husband and I bought together was a 4-year-old SUV with about 34,000 miles on it. I told him, "This is the newest car with the least amount of miles I've ever purchased." He was quiet for a moment, and then mumbled, "This is the oldest car with the highest amount of miles I've ever purchased." Rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing. He grew up with a mom who insisted on buying a brand new vehicle every time the previous vehicle she owned had been paid off. In his mom's eyes, a paid-off car was a hunk of junk and an instant death trap. Flushed, I grew up poor. Having a car was a luxury in itself. I paid $80 for 3 pairs of socks because I didn't look at the price. I just comfortably assumed I could happily afford it. That was about 6 years ago and I've just had to get rid of the first pair. Worth every penny. Big thick merino wool ones that I wear with my work boots. Wool socks work great for work boots. I had an odorous foot issue for years until I figured that out. Plus the extra padding is so much more comfortable. Good shoes and coats for my children. I've made myself a promise that no matter how old they are, anytime they want good shoes and a coat, I'll buy it for them. No questions asked. My grandmother did that for me. She was a child of the Great Depression with a great eye for quality items. As I got older, she got great pleasure every Christmas in ordering me a pair of practical shoes. I just don't understand why you moved to such a cold place. You need waterproof boots, in the size and style I had picked out, and I made sure to send her pictures of me out and about and what she got me. We both leaned hard towards red shoes, and so I still pick out red hiking boots and running shoes in her honor. Hotel right next door in the airport for the night before the flight home, especially if it's a relatively long flight. I did this before a 9 hours plus flight where I literally checked out of the hotel and walked less than 1 minute through a tunnel that led me directly into the airport. Eliminating the hassle of getting transportation to the airport is a luxury I will always try to budget for. I just spent $350 for a night at the hotel in the airport in Istanbul on a long layover. Waking up and walking to the gate was incredible. Also, that airport is insanely nice. Laser printer. No more ink cartridges. In my case, a Brother printer with refillable ink tank, no cartridges, just pour it in. My husband was literally just telling me he doesn't care if he sounds like a weirdo, just interjecting into coworkers' conversations about how good his Brother printer is. You can get a black and white Brother one for only like $120. Or $200 if you want scan, copy. And it's great for me because I generally print rarely, but when I need to it's something urgent, and this just works, instead of complaining that I'm out of magenta or something. My Le Creuset enamel Dutch oven and my KitchenAid stand mixer. I don't know if they're stupidly expensive, but they are a lot more than I ever thought that I'd spend on a Dutch oven or stand mixer. A good bed, or just good furniture in general. My love sack couch is ridiculously comfortable. My husband's grandma was a "your Christmas list is an order form" kind of lady. I wasn't raised like that, so I never put it expensive or fancy stuff on my list. She basically bullied me into giving her a real list. My red KitchenAid was the last gift she got me and I love it with all my heart. This makes me feel very good because I gave my grandson a KitchenAid stand mixer a couple of years ago. KitchenAid mixers are built like an absolute tank. All you have to do is pick one up and you know it would have the power to rip your arm off. My grandmother had one from the 1950s and it still works and looks like it was brand new. Mine lives on my countertop because I'm not moving it. Yup, my parents got a new one and then gave me the one they bought in 2001. It was the one I'd grown up using. I didn't want the gears to eat themselves away, so I followed a tutorial by Mr. Mixer and regreased it on my own. Took 2 sessions because the first time I opened it up I hadn't purchased enough grease. Also bought a new lever, new cardboard gaskets, and added an Everdime. And if you don't want to do all that on your own, the same guy made that video takes mail-in repairs. Fortunately I didn't need that, but I think it's cool that that exists. I think he also sells ones that he's refurbished. He's local to my area and I think it's a cool business. And it feels really good to repair instead of throw away, TBH. Divorce. Bro, it costs a lot. But dang dude, it's so worth it. Cost me $145. The trick is to see it coming and make it a contractual agreement instead of a war. Not sure if it counts as a purchase, but I got laser eye surgery almost 20 years ago and definitely the best money I ever spent on myself. I must be extra sensitive about my eyes because I don't think you could pay me to get LASIK. Cold sweat smile. Losing my sight seems horrifying. Any non-zero chance of blindness is too much of a chance for me. Even injectable contacts sound like a less horrific option. Scarier than blindness are the complications that are so unbearable people lead to suicide. I thought I might be interested but made the mistake of watching my husband's entire LASIK procedure. And I am not a squeamish person, I work in healthcare and participate in procedures all the time. But watching him get his eyeball peeled open was a hard and immediate, fuck that. Quote.